What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Emma if you're new here, and I love to talk about all things Peloton cycling and fitness. So be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. I post every single Sunday, and today's video is going to be a fun one. We're mixing it up a little bit. I would say even since the beginning of this year, I have been really into strength on Peloton, really into the splits. I did both density trainings. I've done a lot of different strength programs, and I do really like lifting heavy. I do find it to be a fun workout, an enjoyable workout, and I like seeing the progress. But sometimes it's good to mix it up a little bit, and I saw this new program that just came out on Peloton called Set the Bar with Ali Love and Hannah Corbin, and I just couldn't resist. The description of this program is join Ali and Hannah for this low impact, high intensity 4-week bar program. Increase your reps and weight as the weeks progress to reach your full potential in these rhythm-based classes. And you need a workout mat, you need light weights, chair, yoga block, and resistance band. So we are gonna be doing all the things. I don't have resistance bands or light weights, but we will make do with what we have. I feel like it should be fairly easy to modify. And I'm excited and a little nervous. Bar is definitely not easy. I'm not like a huge bar person. I've taken a couple classes in person, and I've also taken classes on Peloton over the years. And every time it kicks my butt. It's those little movements that you just do over and over again, and you get so sore. But I am excited to try this low impact program, mix up my strength training a little bit, and just do something different. I also really like Ali and Hannah. I think it will be a great program. And I do really love these longer programs where I can commit to doing this for an entire month. So today we're looking at week 1, day 1, which is 2 classes. The first class is a 5-minute 2-for-1 bar warm-up. So it's Ali and Hannah. The description is get ready to set the bar with Ali and Hannah in this 5-minute warm-up. They'll prep you for the next 4 weeks while warming you up to start this program right. And I feel like a lot of programs have this in Peloton. I just expect them to basically tell you what to expect, which is bar classes for 4 weeks straight. But we'll see what they say. It's 5 minutes, it'll be over quick. And then the second class we're taking today, we're getting right on into it. We're doing a 20-minute bar glutes and legs class with Hannah Corbin. The description is let the fun begin. Join Hannah in this spicy 20-minute glutes and legs focused class, which I expect to be very spicy. So let's hit the mat and knock out these first 2 classes. As expected, my butt is very sore, but we'll get to that. We started off with the 5-minute warm-up, and I actually like this a lot more than I thought. I thought that the instructors would kind of talk about what to expect for the next 4 weeks, which they did, but they were essentially like, yeah, expect bar. And besides that, it was a good bar warm-up. We did, some high knees, some plies, really just warming up the body, especially as someone that hasn't done bar in a while. I appreciated it. And then the class was over, 5-minute warm up, that's nothing. It flies by so fast. And then we got into the 20-minute glutes and legs class, which was with Hannah. I thought it was a good class, and I am definitely a beginner at bar, but I felt like she definitely made it accessible to beginners while also telling you how you can modify it to make it more difficult. A lot of the time she was like, oh, if you're doing this program again, you can do this. And I feel like that's nice because if you're not a beginner at bar like I am, you might want the harder moves. But I was doing the base moves and I thought those were plenty hard. My glutes were definitely burning. We had another 3-minute little warm up. And the first warm-up class used no equipment besides a mat. And the second class, she's like, we're going to use a chair for balance in the warm-up. I didn't even want to get a chair. I just used the wall behind me. And that was totally fine. It was basically to do more plies. So you're bending your knees with your feet pointed out like this. And yeah, I feel like using a wall was totally fine for that. I was just too lazy to get a chair. And besides that, you didn't need any equipment besides the mat. So that was really nice that it was essentially no equipment needed. And then after the warm up, we didn't even use a chair for balance. We were on the ground doing the glute work. Pretty much the moves I expected. We did like 2 sections, and each section we had to do on both sides. But you know, kind of a lot of like laying on the ground and then moving one foot up and down a little bit, and you start it and you're like, oh, this isn't that bad. And then you keep doing it for 20 seconds and you're like, oh my gosh, my butt is on fire. So I felt like it was a good class. It passed by quickly. I really like Hannah, and I do feel like she was really encouraging. Like she's like, oh, like, you know, you might not be able to lift your foot that high, but like you'll get there. And like when I started, I wasn't good either, which I know now she's like amazing, but it is nice to be reminded that, you know, everybody starts somewhere and it's okay if it's not perfect. I actually did a better job than I thought I was going to do. Like I thought that I would struggle to keep up. And I kind of wonder if she just made it really easy, or if maybe some of my strength training has kind of carried over to bar, which makes me a little bit better at it. But I'm leaning more towards the first one. She did say that this program is definitely going to progress, so it will be interesting over the weeks, because this was like a comfortable bar class for me. Like it felt like I got a good workout in. I could do most of the moves. I had to take a break once or twice, but for the most part, I was like following along. So I'm definitely interested to see if that's going to be true for all of these classes, or if it's going to get way harder. For difficulty today, I would give it like a 7 out of 10. I didn't think it was super, super hard. And it was nice because we would only do about like 3 to 4 minutes, and then you'd switch to the other side. So you were kind of getting a break when you were doing the other side. Enjoyability, I would give it like an 8.5 out of 10. I thought it was pretty enjoyable. Like I said, Hannah was really encouraging. It did fly by, even though my glutes were burning. And it does feel good to get a burn in. Like that's how you know that this is an effective class. And you know, it's nice to just not get super sweaty when you're working out and having a little more of a low impact day. So the first day was good, but I'm definitely ready for my rest day tomorrow, and hopefully my glutes recover. It is now 2 days later. It's Sunday morning. I definitely started the program on a weird day, a Friday, and Sundays are pickleball days, but I'm waiting for Chris to get ready, and I figured now would be the perfect time to sneak in day 3 recommended of this program, which is a 15-minute bar core class with Ali Love. The description is, Ali leads you through 15 minutes of focused core work to improve balance and stability in your bar movements. And you only need your workout mat for this, which is nice, but I am definitely not a core girly. Core is my worst like muscle group. So we'll see. I usually like the bar core because bar is usually like a little less like a core class where it's like, oh, do like 100 sit-ups, now do like 100 bicycle crunches, whatever. We'll see. I feel like I like Ali. I don't think she'll lead me wrong. So let's hit the mat and knock out this core bar class. Another class where I really thought this was going to kick my butt pre-taking the class, and don't get me wrong, I still worked very hard, but for the most part I could follow along, which I like. I thought that I would just kind of be left in the dust. I feel like for the most part I could stay doing what Ali was doing. We started off no warm-up, we just got right on into the first set, which I personally think is fine for core. Like I don't really need a core warm-up. And we did the first set 3 times. It was 9 minutes in total, 3 minutes each time. And the first set was almost like a warm-up because we did a lot of the moves a little bit slower. You know, we had a good amount of rest in between moves. So I feel like that was fine, no warm-up. So the first set was kind of a bunch of core movements. I do think it's funny, before I started the class that I was like, oh, they're not just going to be like, do 100 bicycle crunches, because we did do bicycle crunches. But I felt like for the most part, it was a good mix between like typical core moves, like we did, you know, forearm side plank and bicycle crunches, but then also some more like bar moves. Like we were in grand plie and we were, you know, getting our oblique core in by going like this. I feel like that's very bar. We also did a move where we were like lifting one of our legs up and down. I feel like that's very bar. So I feel like it was a good mix. Like I do know you need to do core workout moves to strengthen your core. And I feel like Ali, kept it interesting while also still working out. The hardest move in this section, in my opinion, was the flutter kick. My flutter kicks are embarrassing. I can't keep my legs straight. It's definitely something that if we kind of come back to it in this program, that's something I would watch to see if I can like get any improvement in. And I had to take a break during the flutter kicks every time. I would only take like a second or two and get back into it. But man, oh man, I can really feel that burn in my core. And then after we were done with the first core section, that was already 9 minutes. So there was only 6 more minutes in class. So we had like 2 more little sections. The next section was a 3-minute plank section, which I thought was pretty easy. I do feel very, very comfortable with planks, but I also feel like it's pretty easy to modify. Like you just go down on your knees. We did a forearm plank, then a bear plank, and then a straight arm plank. And we did that twice. Then we went into another 3-minute section, which was kind of like slow roll-ups. Like we were in a sit-up position and we kept rolling back and forth. Basically, we did a little bit of pulsing. Again, I found that section to be a lot easier than the 9-minute section. That was like a lot of different core moves. And then the class was over. I am hesitant to say that I liked the core class. I don't think I would go that far, but I was not miserable. And I feel like that is already a glowing review of core for me. Enjoyability, I would give like a 6 out of 10. I mean, Ali was trying, and I do like when we repeat the section so you like know what is coming. You can kind of prepare yourself. But at the end of the day, core is just not my favorite. But she tried. She tried to keep it upbeat. She mixed in some bar moves, which I appreciated. And I do acknowledge that core is important. So I'm like glad that it's part of this program, because if it wasn't, I just would not do it. Difficulty, I would give a 6.5 to 7 out of 10. I do fear that it's going to get a lot more difficult as the weeks come. I feel like this was pretty accessible to somebody that works out but does not work out core. Like I was not left in the dust. I feel like we regrouped a lot. We got like a decent amount of recovery. But at the same time, even right now, I can still feel the burn in my core. Like it was an effective workout. I just think that it's going to get way harder from here. But maybe I'll be wrong. We'll see. But another good day, and I'm excited to wrap up the week with a 2-for-1 soon. It is now Wednesday morning. We got a couple days break from Barre, but now I'm ready to wrap up week 1 with class 4. It is a 30-minute 2-for-1 bar class with Ali and Hannah. And the description is, Ali and Hannah are teaming up to celebrate the end of week 1 and your commitment to the program in this upbeat 30-minute 2-for-1. And I feel like 2-for-1s are always a fun time. I love with the instructors like interacting with each other, but I also think it might be a little bit harder because it's 30 minutes. So let's hit the mat and knock out this bar class. That was a good, fun 2-for-1, good way to wrap up the week, but they're definitely amping up the difficulty a little bit more. I do think part of it is the 30 minutes, that this is the longest we've done, but I also feel like the leg movements were a little bit harder specifically. We had an interesting class plan, which I actually liked. We bounced around a lot. So we had a 6-minute warm-up, then 3 minutes of upper body, 3 minutes of core, 7 minutes of lower body, 4 minutes of core, and then 7 minutes of lower body. And I usually don't like in strength when we're kind of like all over the place like this class, but I feel like it really, really worked for bar. I mean, first off, after each section, like I needed a break. I felt burnout, especially in the leg sections, but I also feel like the class is just so fast-paced in general that it makes sense for it to like rotate through different sections. One thing that I did think was interesting is that Ali led this entire class and Hannah was basically just there for commentary, which I enjoyed her commentary. Like I still like a 2-for-1. I think that the banter is the benefit of the 2-for-1. I just feel like usually in 2-for-1s, they like switch off sections compared to Hannah was basically just taking Ali's class, which is fine. I'm interested to see like if there's other 2-for-1s in this program, what they are like if Hannah will lead one. But for the first couple sections, I kept waiting for it to switch to Hannah and it just never did. Ali led it the whole time. You also needed light weights for this class. You needed light weights and a yoga block. We only used the yoga block once to do squats while having it in between our legs. So like you could definitely get away without a yoga block. The weights you needed more, they were using 2-pound weights. I have no weights here, and even at the gym in my apartment building, the lowest weight is 5 pounds, which I think is too heavy for this. So I grabbed 2 cans of water that I had in the fridge. Those, to be fair, are like maximum 1 pound each, and I did feel like the arm section was pretty easy. I mean, the whole thing with the arms is that you do it really fast, but you do it with light weights compared to like more traditional strength where you would push the weight heavier. But when we did upper body, we also like mixed it with legs and core. So for example, when we were doing like curls, we were also doing a lunge at the same time. And we did some movements where we were basically holding like a whole body hold while doing rows. Like it was difficult enough even with the light weights. So I do feel like you can kind of just get away with like whatever you have in your house. And the arm section was extremely short. Like it was 3 minutes and then we moved past it. The 2 core sections I liked, but I didn't think that they were like anything special or anything super hard. We focused on roll-ups on one, and we kind of like built up to a hollow body hold in another one. And yeah, like no real complaints there. I did think the lower body was quite hard. It wasn't like anything super extreme compared to what we did in the first day. But yeah, I just feel like you get like a lot of burnout when you're on the ground and you're just like moving one leg a little bit and you're like, oh my gosh, my butt is like on fire. So definitely effective. And I was definitely happy when there was a second core section to kind of break up the leg sections, just because I feel like the legs is where we really put the work in. Difficulty today, it's hard because the non-leg sections I would give like a 5 out of 10, but the leg sections I would give like an 8.5 out of 10. So overall, I'm gonna say like a 7 to 7.5 out of 10. Enjoyability, I actually really did enjoy this class. I just feel like it's so fun when the instructors like have someone to interact with. They were joking around. Ali made a playlist that Hannah loved, and I feel like Hannah did have like good commentary about like how to modify if you needed to, and like, yeah, I just like Hannah and I like Ali. You can tell that they're friends. It was a fun class to take. It really feels like you're like more in studio, in my opinion, when there's 2 instructors and there's like some back and forth. And it really makes the class pass by quickly. Doing a 30-minute bar class is definitely on the longer side for me. So it was nice that they kept the energy up, and it was a good way to wrap up week 1. It is now Sunday morning. We had a couple days break from bar, but we're ready to get back on into it. Sunday mornings are usually reserved for pickleball, but it is a very dreary day in New York City this morning. So it's perfect to start week 2 of this program. Kicking off today with class 1, which is a 20-minute bar glutes and core class. The description is, Ali is kicking off week 2 with this 20-minute class focused on strengthening your glutes and core. This class will help you establish the balance needed to pulse and groove to victory. And yeah, I'm a little nervous. Pulsing is always a little hard, but it should be a good class. I like Ali, and let's hit the mat and knock out class 1 of week 2. This was a great class. I really liked the way that we structured, but we were not messing around. We started off and we just went into a minute grand plie. I guess that was the warm-up. There was no like true warm-up in this class, but we were not messing around. I have mentioned this before, but I'm totally fine without a warm-up. Like I feel like the grand plie like was a little bit of a hard warm-up, but like it was effective. We didn't need any equipment for this class except for resistance bands. I don't have resistance bands, and I'm also pretty new to bars, so I feel like the moves without the resistance bands are hard enough. And Ali had hers, but she used hers very, very minimally. Basically, the format of this class was 10 minutes on one side and then 10 minutes on the other side. And after the grand plie, we went onto the ground and did a clamshell and a bridging clamshell, and that was the only portion that Ali wore her bands. And then she took them off and was basically like, you know, if you're really advanced, you can keep the bands on, but I'm going to take them off. And I could definitely see like the advancement to keep the bands on, it would definitely make the moves a lot harder. But I feel like my butt was already burning without the bands, so I'm not sure if I'm there yet to use bands, which I thought was fine. Like, if you're a beginner, you definitely don't need resistance bands right away. But we did a lot of, pulsing on one side. We did, fire hydrants, side lane, leg lift. Like, we were feeling the booty burn. And then the core section was pretty basic. We did a little bit of focus on one side, whichever side we were like working on. So we did like dead bug, but only on the side we were working on. We did oblique crunch and side plank. And then we did some bear planks and just normal high planks. So you got a little bit of side work and like main core work, which I liked. I like the core section. I definitely feel like the core feels easier to me than the legs, but I just think the leg moves are like so specific to bar and I don't do them a lot. So they really burn. The pulsing really gets you. And after that section, we just did the same exact section on the other side, which I love. Like, I love a predictable workout. I know exactly what I'm doing for the last 10 minutes after I've done the first 10 minutes. And I feel like this class was pretty reasonable. I mean, again, I wasn't using resistance bands, but it felt like I got a good workout in without it being really impossible. And I felt like I could follow along. I didn't really need to take any breaks, which I consider a success because in bar classes in the past, I had to like take breaks because the moves were literally too hard. But I do think that this program is geared more towards beginners, at least so far. Like Allie's like, the goal is to kind of introduce you to all these bar moves. For difficulty, I would give this class like a 6.5 to 7 out of 10. I do think you could definitely progress it with resistance bands. I just didn't have it. And just because it's like a low difficulty or it's not like a 10 out of 10 difficulty doesn't mean I don't think that I got a good workout in. Like, I do feel my glutes burning, so it definitely was effective. Enjoyability, I would give like 8.5 out of 10. I actually really like the format. I feel like Allie was in a great mood. Also, her styling today was really great. I feel like I usually don't notice that with instructors, but she had like a really nice blue workout set on and like had her hair like in this like cool half up, half down situation. And yeah, I just feel like she was in a really good mood. It was a fun class and the time passed by pretty quickly. I do like when we just like do one big section and then repeat it again. So overall, a good way to kick off week 2. And I am happy because I thought that it might progress a lot once we got to week 2, but it seems like this is more of a beginner's program and this is more my pace. It's now Tuesday morning, it's 2 days later, and we're ready for class 2 of week 2, which is a 15-minute upper body bar class by Hannah Corbin. The description is, grab your light weights and get ready to sweat to the beat of the music with Hannah as she leads you through 15 minutes of upper body work. And I'm actually gonna go to the apartment gym today and try to use the 5 pounds there. 5 pounds might be too heavy for light weights, but I feel like my water bottles will be really light for this class, especially since it is upper body focused. So, we'll see when we get there if we gotta modify, but I think it'll be a good class. Haven't done a like light weights upper body class in a while, so I definitely anticipate this one burning, but I love Hannah. It should be a good time. Let's go to the gym, hit the mat, and knock out class 2, week 2. That was a great little arms class. We got in, we got out pretty fast. Hannah started off and was like, basically there's going to be 2 parts in this class. The first part is going to be body weight arms and the second part will be weighted. And when I heard that, I was like, oh, like maybe this will be really easy. But no, I was wrong. Even without the weights, it was hard. You just do the same movements over and over again and you still get burnout. We did a lot of like shoulder work. So like, going in circles and kind of flailing your arms around. I was happy that nobody was in the gym while I was doing this workout because although it was definitely effective, I feel like I looked so dumb, not even holding weights and just doing little moves. And Hannah was like, yeah, if you feel like you're having bad form and like need to take a break, take a break. She did not really give us any rest. I did have to like lower my arms for a few seconds a couple times, it does get very intense. And then for the second part that was weighted was more like typical light arms and weights class. So, we did like bicep curls, tricep kickbacks. We did this like Y move, which I thought was the hardest. And we did like the same set 3 times. Hannah offered so many modifications though to make it easier, to make it harder, go double time, modify the move, put 2 weights in one hand. So I really think that no matter what weight you have, she can find a way and you can find a way to like make it a good workout for you. I was pretty happy with the 5 pounds. I found that I didn't really modify it to make it harder at any point because I feel like 5 pounds is kind of the upper weight limit that I'd want to do anyways. But I didn't think that any part of it was like really, really, really impossible. I definitely felt burnout. Like it was a good little arms workout, but yeah, I never felt like that 5 pounds was an inappropriate amount of weight, which I'm happy with because I do not have 1 to 4 pounds. And yeah, 15 minutes, the class passes by pretty quick. It would be an easy class to kind of like take during the day because you don't need to do anything on the ground. You're standing the whole time, which is nice. And I didn't break a sweat during it, but it still was effective. Like I felt the burnout in the moment. Difficulty, I would honestly give like a 5 to 6 out of 10. I did think it was on the easier side, but I do feel like, doing arms and light weights is an important thing to practice. And it was cool to like do some of the body weight movements and feel burnout. Enjoyability, I would give like a 7 out of 10. I feel like the class passed by pretty quickly. Hannah was great. This definitely isn't like my favorite way to work out the arms, but I still thought it was an enjoyable class. And that's a wrap on week 2, class 2. It is now Thursday morning and we're ready to knock out the last class of week 2, which is class 3. It is a 45-minute bar class by Allie Love. The description is Allie's bringing the heat with this first 45-minute bar class of the program. She's queued up some hot pop remixes for your total body work at the bar. And I do feel like Allie has been harder than Hannah during this program, so I expect to work today. 45 minutes is quite long. I haven't done a 45-minute bar class in a hot second, but I think Allie will do a good job, and I'm excited to hear some hot pop remixes. So let's hit the mat and knock out the final class of week 2. I don't really know how I feel about that class. I feel like I don't know enough about bar to like really pinpoint what was off about it for me, but something was off. And when looking at it, like there's no glaringly obvious problems. There's a lot of different sections that we bounce between, but I've liked that in previous classes. And none of the sections dragged for me, but the class overall dragged. I think it might be because all the sections I thought were fine, but none of them were like really stand out to me. So then it just kind of felt like we were doing some okay sections going from section to section. We started off with an 11-minute warm-up, which is quite long, but I would say the second half of the warm-up was just another core section. We were doing a lot of core focused moves. And yeah, I just feel like for bar, I don't need like that long of a warm-up. We're not doing anything like super, super high intensity that I need to get warm for so long. So maybe that was part of the problem. Then we went into a upper body section and I don't have weights here, but I did upgrade to unopened soap bottles instead of water bottles just to add a little more weight. And I feel like I probably could have had a even heavier weight, but I don't know around my house like what I could find. But I did think that it was hard enough. The arm section was a bit boring though. We did bicep curls and then shoulder presses and tricep kickbacks. And we did that, I believe, 3 times. Like we just kept repeating the same moves. And like I am okay with those moves, but I do think that they're like some of the most boring arm moves that you can do. So I just feel like that section was very okay for me. Then we went into the first core section, which I actually thought was the hardest section of the class. We did flutter kicks, and flutter kicks are my enemy. And we also did some work where we were on our back and we were like holding the block over us while moving our legs, which I feel like really activates the core. So I did like this core section. It was definitely a push, but it was the same thing where we were doing like the same 3 moves and then we repeat it a bunch of times. And usually I like that because it's predictable, but I think that the moves were just kind of boring, so I didn't like it that much. Then we went into the first lower body section, and she did say to use a resistance band for this, which I didn't have, but I definitely don't think you need if you're a beginner. First off, she only used it on each side for like 1 to 2 minutes, so it's not like a large portion of the section was with the resistance band. And I feel like the moves are hard enough without the resistance band. You know, think like clamshells, think being on your side and like lifting your leg. Those moves I already feel the burn with. I'm sure with a resistance band it would be even harder, but I really don't feel like I'm missing out without a resistance band. Then we had like a little 3-minute full body stretch, which I guess was nice. I feel like she put it in because we weren't really getting any recovery. Like I feel like Barre doesn't typically have recovery, and I thought it was fine, but I also feel like I wasn't doing like super, super intense moves that I needed the recovery, but maybe if I had the resistance band, I would have felt differently. Then we went into our last core section, which was literally just like planks and then a break and then a plank again, which again is fine. It's just a bit boring in my opinion. And then we finished off with a lower body section where we were doing a lot of like plie work. She had a chair for balance. I just used the wall behind me. That was totally fine. That section, also fine. I just feel like everything was like a bit boring. Nothing like really, really stuck out to me. The pop remixes, I feel like were just okay for me, but that's like a very personal taste thing. And yeah, I feel like Allie was fine, but overall, in my opinion, it's a very like forgettable class. So kind of a bummer to wrap up week 2 on that note, but I'm interested to see how this program progresses. I am going to wrap up this video here and start a new video just so this video is not super, super long. But yeah, I'm interested to see where we go from here. I feel like so far I've enjoyed most of the classes, but to me, this doesn't really feel like a program. Like I don't really feel like we're building to anything. I guess the point is that we're going to be doing like longer and longer classes. I think at some point we go up to a 60-minute bar class for the last class of the week. But besides that, like I don't feel a lot of cohesiveness. It's not like we kind of revisit the same moves. Like we do some of the same moves because they are bar moves, but it doesn't really feel like we're working towards anything. It just kind of feels like these are just bar classes that you could take like any bar class that was the same length and the same focus area in place of the ones in the program, and like it wouldn't be any different. So I don't know, if you have taken this program, definitely let me know what you think. I will finish it, and like it has been nice to kind of take a step back from strength because I was really on the weightlifting strength grind for so many months in a row. So it has been nice to just be doing something different while still getting a good workout in. But today's class, enjoyability, I would give like a 6 out of 10, definitely lower on the enjoyability for my side. I didn't have like a horrible time. It still is like 6 out of 10, not a bad time, but definitely a little bit of a letdown. And difficulty, I would also give like a 6 to 7 out of 10. I didn't think it was crazy, crazy difficult, but I also am modifying it because I don't have real weights and I don't have a resistance band. So that is it for this video. I will see you in the next one. I hope you guys are staying safe, having an awesome week, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.